You're tuned in to Recap Station. Today we're talking about Dead Man's Shoes, released in 2004. This psychological thriller explores crime and the desire for vengeance. It was directed by Shane Meadows, and it stars Paddy Considine, Toby Kebbell, and Gary Stretch. And remember, spoilers ahead. Stay tuned. Richard and his dead brother Anthony are seen walking in the meadows, early in the morning. A clip from Richard and Anthony's childhood is shown, in which the older brother, Richard, cuddles with Anthony. Their childhood recordings show that both boys were close to one another, and that there was no rivalry between them. Richard is returning to the farm from the army, and while he travels, he reminisces about his fond childhood memories. Day 6:30 a.m. Richard is laying on the wooden cart with a water bottle when he suddenly gets up and wets himself. Then, he notices his brother Anthony's ghost standing near the fireplace. Richard goes immediately to investigate a few houses where his brother once spent time with a group of individuals. He examines the map and the various routes to these residences. Just as Richard approaches the front door of one of the houses, we are transported back in time to when Richard's brother Anthony was alive. Anthony went to this house, where an elderly man lived, and greeted him kindly. Anthony was holding a few shopping bags that he had obtained for this gentleman. Richard wanders around the houses, looking through windows, when a flashback occurs. The man from the house orders Anthony to get something for him. Anthony expresses his intent to go to Stiletto, but the man dismisses his plea and instructs him to do his work. Richard walks away from the house after reflecting on the flashback. A man named Herbie walks into the restaurant, where Richard is already seated with Anthony's ghost. This ghost warns Richard that this is one of those men who are to blame for his ordeal. Richard locks his gaze on the man who is now conversing with two others. Herbie had come to give these two men pills. He collects the payment and distributes the drugs. He finds Richard staring at him right away. "What are you looking at?" screamed Herbie, angry. You cunt." Richard responds with a defensive tone. Herbie departs the restaurant, surprised by Richard's tone. Herbie rushes out of the restaurant, and heads straight to Sonny's club to hand over the cash. Sonny is one of the men who was complicit in all of Anthony's misery. A man delivers Herbie drinks, and they have a brief conversation just about a girl named Jane. Sonny hands him over another package of drugs. As Herbie walks out of the club, he notices Richard waiting for him outside. Herbie forgives Richard when he apologizes for his disrespectful actions. When Richard inquires about his name, he responds, "It's Herbie." Richard inquires about his name once more, which perplexes Herbie, and he again responds that his name is Herbie. They leave after shaking each other's hands. Herbie grows agitated and runs. In this scene, Soz and Tuff are introduced. At their location, they are debating about magazine articles, mockingly reciting phrases from their magazines. Tuff picks up the intercom when it suddenly buzzes. On the other side, he finds Herbie and lets him in. Soz and Tuff beg Herbie to give them Sonny's pills, but he refuses, claiming that they already have plenty. Herbie shares information about his meeting with Richard with them. To his pals, he appears to be a lunatic, but then he explains that Richard is Anthony's brother. This fact makes them all nervous. They exchange silent glances. Anthony's flashback with the group emerges, with members such as Soz, Tuff, Herbie, Sonny, and others bullying Anthony. Anthony is made to smoke by them. Anthony refuses numerous times, but as a result of their deception, he takes more puffs. Richard speaks with Anthony's ghost about his strange encounter in town. He claims that the town never changes, and Richard concurs. Then Richard inquires about Anthony's hair's fine creases. Anthony claims that Richard is the one who messed up his hair, but Richard refuses the accusation. Richard asks whether he wants to dress up like a mobster, but Anthony quickly changes the subject. Richard assures him that he would be returning to town to do some business. Anthony pauses before stating that he does not wish to return to that area. Soz and Tuff are observed doing drugs. When Herbie inquires about these individuals taking Sonny's drugs, they respond that Sonny is willing to share. They get high by taking medicines. Herbie eventually leaves their apartment at midnight. As he descends, he notices a man dressed in a costume, which frightens him, and he rushes to his pals. When his pals see Herbie in distress, they rush down with weapons to defend themselves. However, they come up empty-handed. They return to their apartment, enraged. They discover that Sonny's drugs have been stolen and that their walls have been smeared. Two inebriated men stagger down the street. Richard, dressed in his costume, observes them from across the street. When Richard walks into their house, he discovers them sleeping on couches with food scattered all about. He decorates their walls and clothes with paint. Day 7:30 on the road, Soz, Tuff, and Herbie are seen sitting in a car. They come to a complete stop in front of Sonny's residence. They are hesitant to break into his house since they have misplaced his drugs. They're all nervous about how he'll react, so they practice what they'll say before confronting him. They then knock on his door, but he is unable to open it. Soz slams his door loudly. Sonny pushes open the door, angry. Sonny's face is covered with paint, which surprises his friends. They go into his house to speak with him. Anthony examines all of Richard's pills in fascination. Richard asks Anthony if he is aware that drugs are given to children to control their thoughts, because people are unable to think clearly and are inferior to animals. Anthony is perplexed. Richard informs him that he is going to give drugs to those who previously gave drugs to Anthony. Soz and Tuff speculate that Richard is mentally ill, which would explain his actions, but Herbie corrects their misconceptions by stating that he is a trained army soldier. Sonny suspects his group mates of doing this to his face, but they refuse to accept this blame and instead tell him about their apartment's wall and stolen drugs. Sonny loses his cool and demands to know if they've used his pills. Herbie explains that Richard may be behind it all. Sonny recalls torturing Anthony by telling him that his brother was ashamed of him and that this was the reason he joined the army. He also gave him two options. One, he could suck his cock, or the other, he could win a secret reward. Sonny smacked Anthony when he chose the second option. Gypsy John and Mark burst into the apartment, complaining that their clothes and hair are shambles as a result of the paint. They all started shouting at each other, but Sonny intervened and brought everyone to a halt. They realized Richard was the mastermind behind everything. Sonny decides to pay a visit to Paddy, a former member of their group. She was the one that was forced to sleep with Anthony by Sonny. Once she agreed, Sonny brought everyone to watch them. They all came to see her and held her hostage to see if she was involved in anything. They fled because she had nothing to do with it. Richard is standing on the side of the road when they come upon him. Sonny went to see him, but Richard appeared nonchalant, which alarmed Sonny. Before leaving with the rest of the gang, he speaks with him since Richard admits he was behind everything that happened to the other members of the group. All of the members of the group sat about with Sonny at night, plotting how they will deal with Richard. Sonny devises a plan to assassinate him. Tuff is taken aback by Sonny's proposal, but Sonny sticks to it since he believes it is best for all of them. Timbo nods his head in agreement with Sonny and exits the room. Herbie leaves the room to grab some jelly, but when he returns, he discovers Timbo has died. Everyone gets a call from him. Sonny, along with the rest of his friends, sobs. The wall behind the dead body said, "One down." Day 3, 8 a.m. All of these group members are on their way to Richard's farm. When they arrive, Al takes Richard outside so that Sonny can murder him. As soon as Richard emerges, he strangles Al, and Sonny misses his shot, killing Al by accident. They depart the area right away. They're all standing on the side of the road, stunned at what they've done. They are engulfed by these terrifying conditions, and they begin to fight with one another. Tuff sobs and pleads with them to leave town as quickly as possible, but the others refuse to go along with his plan. He is alone, and the loss of his two buddies has crushed him. All of them are overcome with fear. Richard sits with Anthony's ghost and they reminisce about their days in school. Richard arrived at Anthony's school and made the most money through running, according to Anthony. Richard beams and Anthony declares that he was the best at the time, and that those were the happiest days of his life. All of the schoolboys attempted to take Richard's hand, but Anthony resisted. Sonny, Herbie, and Soz all walk the entire distance to Sonny's house. They go through the entire flat to guarantee their safety. They make tea for themselves and begin drinking once they believe they are safe. Richard brews their tea with all of the medications. They all quickly lost their senses and control. They had a sword and other weapons with them, but they couldn't defend themselves due to the drugs. Richard shot Sonny in the head. Tuff was also dead, and Soz questions Richard about whether he is the devil or Jesus. Richard punches Tuff in the face and knocks him out. Finally, he turns to Herbie and requests that he provide the address of the group's last member who was part of torturing Anthony. Herbie offers him the address in the hopes of saving his life, but he dies in the process. Richard locates the remaining members' sons and presents them with a knife and his mask. The mother of the children is enraged and informs her husband. The husband rushes to find him, but before he returns, Richard visits him and meets his wife. Richard was here to see him, she informs her husband when he returns. Richard's identity is immediately recognized by the husband. Sonny tortured Anthony by giving him narcotics and feeding him stories about his brother, he tells his wife. They dragged him around the farm with a rope in his neck after bullying him for a long period. They leave Anthony in a hypnotic state. Anthony committed suicide there. The husband was humiliated for failing to save Anthony's life. Richard arrived late at night and drove the group's final member to a remote location. Richard desired to meet his brother, therefore he asked the last member to execute him. He killed Richard in the same location where Anthony died.